Welcome back to my YouTube channel. My mom's here too today.
Hello.
Hello.
Good evening.
Yeah, I'm still in Germany, you guys. But we're back. It's June and it's time to get started again with the Aloha 24 challenge. So welcome everybody, welcome back. And welcome to week 1 of Aloha 24 June. This month's theme is at the farmers market. And as I'm still in Germany and the peonies are blooming like crazy, I will show you a few little tricks today how to how to paint these in a very loose manner. A few little tricks today how to paint these in a very loose manner. I can hear my echo. Tricks today how to paint these in a very loose manner. Guys, can you tell me, do you hear this echo? This is really weird. How to paint these in a very loose manner. Guys, can you tell me, do you hear this echo? This is really weird. How to paint these in a very loose manner. Hi guys. So I hear everything I just said in repeat echoing back to me. Hi guys. So I hear everything I just said in repeat echoing back to me. Hold on. I'm gonna go on mute. Can I? This might be the reason. Okay, I'm gonna close your YouTube. Sorry guys, I'm trying to find out why this is happening. So I'm just gonna close the other YouTube on the other phone. Okay. Question, do you hear me? And is there still an echo? Let me know. So I just put myself on mute, so okay, good, it stopped. Excellent. Okay, as I said, we are going to go into week 1 with painting a bunch of peonies at the flower market in a few buckets. So I want to start this session today with explaining a few things about different types of ink you can use, because there are a lot. So I'm sure you guys are all familiar with using micron pens, fineliners, but there are so many more ways. And you can create different types of ink lines depending on what kind of ink pen you use. This was done with a bamboo pen, for example. This was done with a brush pen. And this was done with a micron fineliner. So I'll demonstrate a few different things that you can do and try out. So as always with my challenge, this is for you guys. I want you to test out different mediums, and hopefully at the end of the year you have your favorite combination of mediums. We always combine watercolor with another medium. For the next 2 months it's going to be watercolor and ink. And depending on what kind of line you like, you can test out different ink mediums. All right, I'm going to turn the camera around and show you what I mean. Okay, let's go. It's going to shake a little bit. Okay, here are the peonies. Oh, while I have you guys in this position, we have 2 different kinds. So these are the more simple ones, and those over there are the more filled ones. So it doesn't really matter which ones you're looking at today for the stream, but I'm gonna focus on these filled ones today. Okay, hold on. This is kind of tricky. All right, I got this off, and now we're going into the other phone holder. Here we go. Okay, as you can see, I have my iPad on here as well, so I can keep an eye on the chat. So I'm going to go closer later on, but for now, I'm going to keep it quite broad and wide as this, so I can show you the different techniques I used here. Okay, let me just quickly go through the different methods that you can choose to find out what kind of line you actually like. So, I mean, honestly, a line is not a line. And I think if you are looking for your own art style, the matter of the line is really something that can distinguish your work from somebody else's work. So, for me personally, I really love a line that's not a monoline and it doesn't have the same weight everywhere. So I'm a brush girl, absolutely. And I also prefer to not use black necessarily. So all of these three are not black. This is a dark gray, this is a gray, and this is a indigo navy color. So I have these cards, excuse me, I have these cards here where I tested out how these different pens look on watercolor. Actually, these are underneath the watercolor. So for these ones, I used waterproof ink, let it dry completely, and then I put the watercolor on top of it. Let me show you a few other examples. So for this one here, I did the watercolor first, and this is how we're going to do it today. And I drew over this one with a Japanese brush pen with real bristles. So this is this one here, where you can see that it has actual bristles. So just like a real brush. You see it now? I know that there are so many different brands out there who create these kind of brush pens, and honestly, I don't think it really matters. You know, there are different types. They have a bigger and a smaller nib. I know that Karen just came out with a real brush edition. So I think the only thing that you have to look out for is whether or not the ink is waterproof. And, you know, of course, always test it out first before you do a big piece. Okay, let me just look over at the chat, because usually when I pull out my art supplies, there are a few questions, but no, I think we're fine. Am I seeing this right? Alina's comment was the last one. Okay, excellent. Let's move on to this one here. Yeah, so for me, it was the first time yesterday that I tried out this tool here. Just basically a bamboo stick. And I'm not really fond of the line. I mean, it was interesting. I always... Do you need some water? Here.
Thank you.
It's always interesting to me to find out about a new type of line and, you know, whether or not I like it. So for this one, I can say I found it really interesting, but it's not really speaking to me too much. I do like that it's a pretty broad line, and I can see how this would work for larger pieces. For example, if you use a micron pen, it has a very fine line. I mean, they do have a size 12 these days, but if you're using like one of the more regular, smaller sizes, or this one, the PN pen, that just has a regular tip, then I would actually say, for me personally,
I feel that this kind of line is very suitable for smaller drawings. So if I were to do a large canvas with, you know, a huge painting, I'm not sure if I would really go the micron route, but that's just me and my way of working. It might absolutely be okay for you. So I'm not disencouraging you guys to do huge artworks with a micron. I'm just saying that this is something to consider when you choose the line that you like, or the line that you like for that particular artwork. What else do we have? This is just another example where I used a Japanese calligraphy brush with real bristles. I don't think this one is actually available outside of Japan. This is called Sai, S-A-I. Something Edo color, traditional color. But as I mentioned before, honestly, there are so many good ones out there. So I wouldn't be too concerned about the brand here. Just try to find a few different pens that you can try and test. Naturally, another classic would be this one here, which is a lettering pen with a hard tip, or harder tip. So it's not one of those soft Tombos, for example. This is a harder one. This one creates a really nice line too. And just rather than demonstrating the different pens to you, let me just show you. And maybe you feel inspired to either test out a new line medium, or just, you know, maybe you're gonna pull out all of your pens that you have at hand right now. Okay, I have a question for you guys. Do you already have your favorite pen or your favorite line, so to speak? Okay, this is the Pentel GFKP Fude brush with a gray ink. It's waterproof. I think it's GFKP. Yeah. This is one of my absolute favorites. I'd say the only downside about this one is that it has a cartridge. And I think you can use a platinum converter for this one, but you have to kind of sand it down. So you can use a syringe to refill the cartridge, but I usually try and get these kind of pins with a converter that I can refill. But just a side note, other than that, I absolutely love this one. This is a classic here. This is the Pentel art brush or color brush GFL. Here, I'm not gonna remove it here, but you can basically either remove this and refill it or buy another one as a refill. So this is a turquoise one, and I think the colorful ones are actually not waterproof. I have to say, because I personally always draw on top of the watercolor, literally most of the time. I don't even know that, you know, if it's waterproof or not, because, yeah, simply, I haven't tried it. So if you know, just tell me in the comments. Art brush, GFL. And as I mentioned before, you don't always have to work with black. I personally hardly ever work with black ink anymore, or for that matter, black watercolor. Okay, the classic, one of the classic lettering pens is this one. Oh, this is nice and dried out. Look at that. Very nice effects. I should probably also really emphasize that if you use a dry brush, gonna have a totally different effect. And a lot of people work with exactly that effect. So this is the Fudenosuke, I think.
筆の助
Mm.
日本語
I think this is actually the softer of the two. There are two different ones. One has an even harder tip. Yeah, I think this is the slightly softer one. And I'm not even sure if this one is waterproof. Do any of you know? I don't know. I mean, we can test it out. Once this is dry, I can just plop some watercolor on everything and then we'll see. Okay. Vesta Paint says, I've only just started doing ink and wash and have only used Micron so far. So this is really interesting to me. Oh, that's great. I'm glad. I wasn't sure how you guys use your ink and watercolor so far. And Kerstin says her favorite is a fountain pen with black waterproof ink. Ooh, yeah. Fountain pen is great. That you mention it. I have one of my fountain pens here, which is a Japanese sailor, Fude de Manen. And the cool thing about this one is it has a slanted nib. You see it? It's like a 40-degree angle, I think. So you can use it and make a really straight line, but you can also use it from the side, and look at that. It creates a thick line. So depending on the angle and the pressure, this is a super versatile fountain pen.
ファウンティンペンね
Yeah. And also available with a converter, so you can change the ink color. This is a waterproof indigo ink, and it's almost empty. So
Wonderful pen.
yeah, I love this one. I got this one on our Japan trip
Yes.
in November. So this is a sailor. Fude de Manen. Fude in Japanese just means brush.
So that's yes.
Oh, and the ink here is a De Atramentis, which is a German brand. Waterproof, I think. I mean, it's going to be very, very obvious pretty soon if I'm remembering things right here or not. Okay, the good old Micron pen, and I only have these kind of special ones here. This one is a graphic, which has kind of like a bullet tip, so it's a bit unusual for a Micron. Kind of like a thick line, and then this one also tiny bit unusual. Has a tip like that, and I love these. I love this one because also, again, it makes for a thinner and a thicker line. But Micron in general, and of course there are other brands too. I mean, a lot of other brands create these kind of fine liners, and usually they are waterproof. So I think, honestly, especially for a beginner, or if you've never worked with watercolor and ink, these fine liners are a good way to start, because you can hold the pen in a safe, secure way, and you know your line always comes out the same. Whereas with the others and the brushes, I can understand that this can be quite tricky. The line's not consistent, you know, it can get out of hand. Okay, I'm gonna show you two. Do you guys want to see the bamboo thingy? Let me know. Until then, I'm going to show you something that I used a lot during my calligraphy days around 2016 and 17. This is called a dip pen, and because you dip it into the ink, and this nib has the colloquial term pumpkin, blue pumpkin, I think, nib. It's actually for stenography. Is that how you say it? Shorthand. But it's also one of the most forgiving nibs for calligraphy and for drawing, in my opinion. again, this is a very personal choice. This is a more soft nib. There are also harder nibs. So if you want to get into something like this, then there are hundreds of nibs to choose from. And again, because you have these tines and they spread, you can create great variations in line. So I'm just going to write down dip pen. And this is a, let me close this before I show you. This is a German brand, FLORAL and INK. I'm not sure if this is actually available outside of Germany. This is a very old brand. And this one is actually a drawing ink, and it's also waterproof. There are a lot of companies that make excellent ink. There are even some small businesses that create ink. So if you have any recommendations about your favorite ink, let me know. But honestly, there are so many. I feel as if I gave you recommendations, it would just be too narrow. But I will give you one because I know that it's available easily in the US, and it's the Platinum Carbon Black ink, and it dries waterproof as well. It's very easily available. And Platinum, again, is a Japanese company. So, and the glass dip pen, also from my lettering days.
Oh, kawaii. Pretty.
Yeah, they are beautiful.
pretty.
However, this is a hit and miss. This one was a miss. I actually put some sandpaper to it because it just wouldn't really do what I wanted it to do. Honestly, if you get one of these and it doesn't work, then it might actually not be you. It might be the pen. So you can put some sandpaper to it and see if that works better. Yeah, I filed this down quite a bit. It's usually not supposed to be that thick, but because I took off almost like all of the tip, because it literally didn't write at all. Again, a glass pen, yeah, made from glass. I think originally this art comes from Venice, Italy.
Very beautiful.
Again, this is the Aloha and INK ink. Because this is really, really great ink and it's so easily available here for me in Germany. I have a few of those. Just as a side note, because I totally forgot to mention this, you can use both of these tools with watercolor as well. So you don't have to have ink. You can just take your watercolor and apply it like this. And then, see? Cool. You can draw lines with watercolor. So if, for example, let's say you're more into a style where you don't see the outline, a hard outline, you can work with an outline tool, but you can use the same color as in your painting, for example, for a much more muted effect for the outlines. Let me show you an example here. Yeah, this is actually not even, I'm not sure if I have any examples in this sketchbook. Actually here, a little bit. So this is what I mean. You can do tone and tone, same color outlines, and they don't jump at you as much as if you, for example, used a black fineliner for this one here. So as you can see, I always want to encourage you guys to try out different things and to, you know, seriously find your own line. And it doesn't matter. I mean, it doesn't mean that you have to stick to one line for the rest of your life. But I'm just saying this is one of the ways where you can define your style a little more if you want to. If you don't want to, if you just want to paint and have fun, all power to you. Seriously. I mean, this is the ultimate goal. Sit down, paint, relax, have a good time. Did you guys say yes to the bamboo? I missed that, I think. But Art Moments, Denise is saying that she loves the inks from Ferris Wheel. Yeah, my friend Amy gave me some samplers and they are so great. They even have shimmer inks. But yeah, shimmer, glitter, bling bling. But I think they're not waterproof, I think. Did Denise say that? Yeah, right. So it's almost like painting with watercolor. So this is the bamboo stick. I mean, literally, I think you could just take some chopsticks and put a knife to them and create your own little drawing device. So as I said, I found this extremely interesting. And I think for an abstract, large piece, this is great. Something like this. But yeah, I'm not, you know, we're not immediate friends. But hey, I mean, this doesn't mean anything. We could grow into our relationship, right? That's what people say. My mom just backed away from me washing this thing that was splattering ink around. Okay, last but not least, you can, of course, create your outlines with a brush. I mean, this is what some of the ink artists do all the time. They use a regular brush, watercolor brush, for example, and they create their lines with a brush and some ink, which again, I think leads to a lot of consistency. If you, for example, use the same brush for your whole artwork and then do some outlines with the same brush. This is a Shimoni art brush, which was gifted to me by Art Moments, who's in the chat right now. Thank you again, Denise. I love this brush. This is a gorgeous, rather, I'd say soft, but still elastic brush, and it's handmade in Germany.
This is very similar, like a Japanese brush.
Yeah, I agree.
Yes, very soft and white.
Yeah, actually, this I have to say, this is less.
It's beautiful. I like it.
Less soft. The Japanese real calligraphy brushes. Let me go get one. They tend to be super soft. Yeah.
Very beautiful.
So, yeah, something like this is,
calligraphy.
I don't even know how to describe the softness of this thing. It's like, okay, look at the fine hairs, and there's so many. I think if you use a mop or quill brush, it's a bit comparable, but the hair is so fine. And when you dip this into ink, it just, I mean, you can literally spread this brush out and it creates a circle. It's that soft. So for me, it's very difficult to paint with something like this. But for my mom, she can do calligraphy with this, which is
it's not so difficult.
Breathtaking. I mean, the Japanese calligraphy, it's like a different story.
Yes.
Okay, you guys, so this is part 1 of our little exercise, and I think almost all of the inks have dried. So the only one I was really curious about whether or not it's waterproof was actually the Pentel art brush, color brush, and the Tombow, because the other ones I know they're waterproof, all the other ones. So let's just test it out. So Denise is just saying that Shimoni, this brush company, actually it's one woman, small business in Switzerland, that she has different kinds of brushes. By the way, Denise, I also saw that Crema, the pigment company, sells these types of brushes, the Fibonacci, and they sell the big ones, like 1 inch, 2 inch, how do you call these? The, you know, background, large flat brushes as well. But I did try and see if they're available, you know, outside of Europe. It doesn't. It's tricky. It doesn't seem they are. Okay, let's test it, and I can tell you guys this one is not waterproof. Womp womp womp. But look, you can actually utilize this, knowing that it's not waterproof and it looks almost like watercolor. Again, I mean, beautiful effect. You work with it. If you want a crisp outline, no, stay away from this one. But if you want to work with this, incorporate it into your painting, this might be the ticket. Ooh, I think this one is waterproof. Okay, cool. So, one of my favorite lettering pens, the Tombow Denosuke, is also waterproof. That's fabulous. Okay, but let's move on. In the next part, we're gonna do genau. Ja, jetzt singen wir noch ein bisschen. Ja. Okay, so we're gonna basically do this. As I mentioned before, you guys can always start with the drawing part, the outline and inking part, if you feel more comfortable. But I would love for you to at least try it today with me, to do the watercolor blobs first and to add the outlines later, because you will see that it leads to a bit more letting go, a bit more freedom. And I think it also makes you play more. I mean, of course, you might also just get totally stressed, nervous, so I hope that's not the case. But yeah, let's just try this together, okay? Mama's like, Okay. Do you guys want to know what paper I'm using? Or, let me see.
Let's go.
This is a,
paper.
Isn't this pretty? 100% cotton paper. This is actually made by Hahnemühle, but sold by Stifteliebe, which is a German Bavarian online store run by a very, very lovely couple. I really like these guys. And they wanted a square paper. So they just decided to order their own paper at Hahnemühle. Now, I'm actually not sure which of the Hahnemühle this is. I don't know. Do any of you know, maybe, possibly, which one this is? It has kind of like a fine grain. So it is cold press, but it has a fine grain. So Hahnemühle is, I'd say, a tricky paper at first, for sure. When you get used to it, it's great. A lot of people hate it. A lot of people like me love it. So if you don't like it, totally fine. I get it. Try something else. I always tell you guys that You gotta find your own stuff, and if it's different from what I like, then just go for it. Paint with whatever you like. It really doesn't matter what the famous artists say. And it's not that I'm talking about myself here. I'm talking about all those people, you know, we follow on social media that we love, and we love their artwork, and they use this brush and this paper, and it just doesn't work for us, and that's fine. I have a few of my Aloha watercolors here today, just 5 colors. This is Papaya, Indian Yellow. This is my favorite, Opera Pink. I love this color so much. I have to remake this for myself all the time. This is a Shell Ginger, a very opaque light pink. This is Kupukupu, which is the name of a Hawaiian fern. This is kind of like a very bright, almost neon lime green. And this is Night Dive, which was made after an idea from one of my customers in Switzerland. It's a phthalo blue, cobalt green mixed with Prussian blue. I think that's what it is.
Very interesting.
I'd have to look at the recipe. I have almost 200 different shades and hues at the moment, so sometimes I don't remember the pigments. So before we start, if you are a little bit unsure about the design, please feel free to sketch the 2 buckets. See here? One here, one here.
Buckets.
And then 1 circle, 2, and 3. Just so you know about the placements. Number 1, and then kind of like a half circle here, and another half circle here. You don't have to do this. I usually don't even do this. But we want to have a relaxed painting session, so please feel free to sketch it out. I just want you to not sketch out every single flower. This is really something that I want you guys to just try out with me. I picked up some of my Indian yellow with quite a bit of water, and then we're just gonna put down some blobs. 1, 2, 3. Don't make them uniform. So I want you to not make them all the same. They should be a bit different, and even different intensity of color, like this. Now we're gonna go into the pink. Again, use a lot of water. I'd rather have you use too much water than too much color. We want to keep it really loose. If you want to use a palette, please feel free to do so. Okay, we're gonna move, if you're right-handed, move to the top left. And we're just gonna do some, I'm talking funny. Some circles up here. These are gonna be the buds of the flower. Grab some more water. Gonna do the same over here. And don't do circles per se. Try to do ovals. You know, we want to do something organic. So this has to be a bit wonky. It has to be. You have the permission to do wonky today with me. Okay, I'm just looking over to the chat, and Temley8 said that it's the Hanemühle expression paper. Good, now we know. Okay, I hope I'm not doing this too fast. I basically take my brush and I very quickly apply the pink around the yellow while it's still wet. And I'm doing quick strokes like this. And then here at the top of the flower, to imitate, you know, how fuzzy the filled peonies look, you can add a few more strokes. And then for the outside petals, just gonna do this. And because we're gonna go back in with our outline.
This is very black, this.
Yes.
Magnetismus.
Yeah, it's magnetic. I put a little magnet at the bottom.
Wonderful.
So I can hold it
Very nice.
and just turn it. Yeah. And they also stick to the metal tin.
Very practice.
Don't jump around.
Practice.
Practical.
Practical.
Practical, convenient.
Very practical. Nice.
So look at me preaching and going on about how the flower shouldn't go and look into one direction, and now they all do. Okay, let's turn the paper. This is me talking and painting. Let's just purposefully place a few more flowers that turn the other way. Otherwise, it's gonna look weird if all the flowers look in the exact same direction. Okay, so now I'm gonna add some of my shell pink, shell ginger. Make sure you leave some white space. I don't want you guys to fill in all the spaces. And keep on looking to your composition here. So you don't want things to be too crowded, but you don't either want to have huge gaps, especially not in this bottom part of your bouquet. Up here, it's a different story because we have the buds, we have some white space. It's totally fine if there's some white space here. We're going to just fill this up with more leaves and stalks. Okay, so as you can see, I'm just going around and around, adding some more paint. And look at these yummy blends. I really like the mix of opera pink and yellow. It creates just such a nice, vibrant orange and different hues of yellow and pink. Okay, for the next step, it really depends on if you like colors bleeding and like blending into each other. So I don't mind, but if you want to wait with the next step until this part is dry, that's totally fine, and that's up to you. I just realized I lost one of my colors, or actually two, maybe. Oh, here they are. Okay, I forgot to mention these in the beginning. We're going to use more than 5 colors. We're going to also use some buff titanium, which is called vanilla, and Mentoray, which is a gray ochre. You can, of course, also use black and diluted. So for this one, lots of water. And I'm painting the buckets. So for the buckets, I don't actually want the pink to melt and blend and mix with this color. So I'm leaving a bit of white here.
English bucket.
Bucket.
Japanese is buckets.
Bucketsu.
Buckets.
Sounds very similar.
Yeah.
Do you also have a Japanese word, not a anglicized Japanese word? Nihongo wa?
Nihongo buckets.
Honto? So?
Gibt es nicht anderes.
Oh, she just said there's no word for bucket other than taking it from English and kind of like pronouncing it in a Japanese way. Bucket.
I think so.
Interesting. You guys had no buckets, huh, in the past? I have these really cute conversations with my mom where she asks me how something is pronounced, or how you say something, and I ask her how she says it in Japanese, and we talk like this weird mix of German English and Japanese.
I have a big interesting that you
Yes.
you're painting.
Oh, thank
Yes.
you.
I love it. And
Well, you do really
you
great
can-
calligraphy, so I think
you
we're
can
both
painting.
Oh,
I love it.
okay.
Okay.
While she's showering me with compliments, I put down the vanilla, buff titanium, and then I added a little layer of gray on top, just to tone down the color, the buff titanium color a little bit.
I love to learn
Well, you could paint
new
along.
thing.
Do you want some paper?
Of course.
You prefer to wash today, huh? That's fine. Yeah, I remember one time when she visited me in Hawaii, we were sitting outside on the deck and, you know, we both painted the landscape and she was spent. Like after 2 hours, she was like, okay, I'm going to go to bed. This is like a lot of work. This takes a lot of concentration.
I cannot so painting, not so fast like you.
Yeah, I know. I'm probably painting too fast sometimes. It's just...
No, not too fast.
Yeah, well,
But
I think this, you know, you guys, I think this is also part of a style. I mean,
I made it very many times for me. I can painting very slowly.
I used to really draw very slowly and very, very detailed. I did portraits a long time ago. Yeah, for real. I mean, it took me days to just finish one thing. But I think my life has changed and I have changed and I really prefer the more free painting style, the more loose. But I still admire everybody who really takes weeks or months or days, hours to finish a painting or a drawing. It's not that, it's just that I think you really have to find your own way of expression. That's really the only way, right?
I think it's a very good talent. You can, when you want, you can painting very quickly. It's so nice. It's so positive.
You're so sweet.
I think
Ooh,
so.
I love these blends. Look, look, look. Ah, this is so nice. That's what I love about watercolor. It's when these blends and bleeds happen.
Kirei.
It kind of looks like a cherry that's waving or something. Okay, so as you can see, I took some of my night dive color. If you don't have something like this, you can just mix a dark blue, like Prussian blue, with some teal that you have, or like a cobalt green, some phthalo turquoise, for example, a little bit of blue, and then you have a very similar color. I'm holding my brush very loosely, very gently, almost upright, to paint the stalks, the stems. I actually don't know when you say stalks or stems, what's the difference? Stalk is like for wheat or something? Or is it thicker? I'm not even sure. And stems are maybe finer. Yeah. Teach me some English, you guys. Let me know. Always happy to learn.
Happy to learn.
Happy
Yes.
to learn.
Happy to learn.
So I'm just going to go around and add some of my diluted dark teal. I'm utilizing this really nice and sharp tip on my round brush. So putting down the brush and then pretty swiftly dragging it over while pushing it down and then lifting it up. But if you're having a hard time with that, it's totally fine to actually really paint your leaves step by step. So, you know, you can do the outline and then just paint it in. Totally fine too.
I'm very looking forward to seeing your picture.
Yeah, very good. Excellent. Perfect.
Echt? Really? 細かいな。
細かいな。Oh.
楽しい。
The chat is totally quiet. I hope it's because all of you are painting along. Are you guys painting along? Or did you fall asleep? Am I talking too much? So as you can see, I grabbed some of my really nice lime green color and I'm dropping it into the darker green leaves to create some more blends and bleeds on purpose. Try to not overwork the blends and bleeds. Watercolor is a medium that you, I think, kind of have to almost leave alone and let it do its thing. I think if you try to correct it too much, it's I think it loses a little bit of this rebel, let me go wherever I want to go quality. Alina, you're not falling asleep. Good. Are you painting along? Alina already painted her peonies, actually. I saw it on her Instagram. She changed her handle, you guys. If you have been following her, she is now, what are you now? The rich witch? I think, was it that? With a meerkat handle symbol. So Alina had a bunch of great looking red peonies. And I don't know about you guys, but isn't it super inspiring when you have something that you really love, like a fresh bunch of fully blossoming peonies, and then you get to paint them. So nice. The Rich Witch, is that you, Alina? Good. So you guys, Alina is now the Rich Witch on Instagram. Okay, let me just pause for a moment. I always like to pause for a little bit, look at my whole composition, and I'm liking this. So we have a big blob of pink. This is like, bam, here I am. So we want to have a little bit of a balance, which is provided by all the green up here. And a little bit of green here. When you look at the whole thing, it's kind of like an oval shape. It's kind of rounded. So all in all, I'm liking it. I think maybe here, another leaf. This is something that will come to you with time. You might struggle with this for quite a while, you know, to find the right balance, to know where to put the leaves, where to put the paint, where, you know, to put anything. The more you paint, the easier it'll be. You might actually get to the point where you don't even have to really think about composition that much anymore. Okay, I think I want to drop in some more of my lime green here and there. I did see that the green bled a little bit into my bucket, which, you know, it's fine. It's not too bad, but I will blend it into the bucket. So it's gonna look like the bucket has a little bit of moss on the side. Okay. Yeah, this is nice. This is loose. You can see the quick strokes here. There is a bit of bleeding and blending, which I love. And if you really, really love that, you can, of course, enforce it. You can drop in, if you really, really love it.
Really love it.
You can drop in some paint, rinse your brush, and pick up some of it again. I wouldn't go overboard with this, though, because I think it will look a bit artificial, or it has the tendency to look a bit forced. If it happens naturally, that's fine. Oh, they're your favorite flowers. Okay. Alina's favorite flowers are peonies. So this is a good season and time of year for peony lovers. You know, it's interesting. Even though I was aware of the peonies, I, for example, didn't even realize, and I think that's because they don't grow in Hawaii, that there are these different kinds. Like, I mean, this one here is this is the filled one. Just amazing. I mean, so cool. And the way that you can draw these, of course, if you do a lot of ragged and rugged lines.
That's beautiful.
And then there are, and that's what I didn't know. These ones,
Another kind.
like the, I don't know, single, simple. I mean, they're not simple at all. They're gorgeous, but they look so different.
No,
They just have less petals, I guess. But yeah, I mean, just so amazing. And we have fields outside of where my mom lives, outside of her town, where they grow these flowers. And you can go there and they have a little cash box and you can just drop in the money. They charge $1.50 or €1.50 per peony, which I think is such a steal. So I usually walk away with a whole bunch. So this is not the painting I did today, right now. This is the one I prepared because of the drying time. Of course, you know, I could go and get my hairdryer and stuff, but there's a lot of water and paint on this one, which is still wet. So I'm just gonna switch over to the painting that I prepared. For you guys, of course, if your watercolor is still wet, please make sure it's really dry before you go over it with your ink. Unless, of course, you wanna experiment with some bleeding ink, for example. As I mentioned before, this one here, for example, is not waterproof, so you might get some interesting effects. You know what? I'm curious now. Let's try this. Never done this before. Never tried this. I have no idea. Ooh. Wow, how nice is this? It doesn't even bleed that much. Look. It's not even...
Nice. Very nice.
Oh, this is great.
Yes.
Huh. Okay, I'm really loving this. Well, this just goes to show sometimes, you know, when you think, I can't use this tool because
Lebendiger.
it's not waterproof, or it doesn't do this, or it doesn't do that. And then you use it and it actually looks super cool.
Wie heißt lebendiger English?
Very lively.
Lively. More lively.
Full of life. I'm sure there are other expressions
Lively.
for that too. Yeah.
I like it, this color.
I love it. I love it.
I love it too.
Always experiment, you guys. I mean, this is fabulous. And as you can see, I'm holding my pen again, almost upright, and just very, very gently, very loosely. If you use a brush pen like I'm using here, really try and remind yourself to not grip it too tight. Don't do the death grip thing for this exercise. Or at least, you know, try not to do it consciously.
Yes, I understand.
Even if you use something like a micron pen and you want a very exact line, I still recommend that you don't do death grip.
It's so fine.
For this brush pen,
Mm.
the more you
color,
hold it like this, the more you can utilize the very nice tip.
this brush and color is beautiful.
Yeah,
It's very beautiful.
I wonder if this says what color. Oh yeah, turquoise. Okay, so they just simply call it turquoise. Good to know.
しびれた。
何?
しびれた。Eingeschlafen, die Arme.
Ah, oh no.
Gymnastic.
Okay, at this point, 2 more tips. Use your outline pen also to just create a few more empty leaves. So just some random ones that aren't filled with watercolor. And don't add outline to all of your watercolor blobs. You can just leave a few here. I think it adds to the more spontaneous effect of this whole session. Okay, so now for our peonies. I don't want to be too detailed with these, but in general, the peony has a center with, ooh, and now you can see how it blends. Okay, and bleeds all over the place because it's not dry yet. So let's try it here. So you can start with a bunch of little lines in the center, and then you want to place your petals around the center. You want to constantly move your brush pen, your inking tool in a jagged line. So try to not create a line like this. Try to lift your pen all the time and just pretty much scribble. I think scribbling is a good word for that one.
Very light touch.
But it is bleeding a lot now. Okay, so I want to show you guys the comparison. So this is I'm going to bleed all over water soluble brush pen. And this is the one that is waterproof. Plus, more importantly, the paper is dry. So here you can really go and do the fine detailed line, pretty crisp. Can do the jagged line on top, another jagged line underneath it like this, and then add a few more larger petals at the bottom. Let's do this again. Lines for the center. This is your center. Go up, do a little jagged mountain line, another one here. Don't do, like, lift your pen all the time, and don't be afraid to swoosh it around like real fast. This is how you create the fast looking lines. I don't know how else to say it. Oh, there's Sylvie. Hi, Sylvie. Oh, I'm sorry. She was caught up in a phone conversation she didn't want to have. Yeah, I think we all have these from time to time. I'm glad you're here now, Sylvie. Schön, dass du auch da bist. And I'm glad to hear you're liking the ink and watercolor. So let me ask all of you who are here today, are you Are you enjoying this media combo? I saw on Instagram that actually a few people said to me that this is their favorite. They love watercolor and ink together. So for me personally, I like it all together. So especially watercolor and colored pencil and neocolor. But also like acrylic markers, I mix it all. I used to do a lot of ink and wash when I started to get back into painting.
Very beautiful color combination. Very beautiful.
Dankeschön.
Bitteschön.
Tanja! Hello. Servus. Tanya-chan is here.
Ah, Tanya. Tanya-chan. Hi, how are you? Wie geht's dir?
Did you hear that Sylvie's here too?
Hm?
Sylvie's here too. Did you hear? Hast du gehört? Sylvie ist auch gerade gekommen.
Ach so.
Sylvie und Tanja.
Sylvie und Tanya. Hi, my dear ladies.
All right. So,
Very all right.
Tanya wants to know how you're doing. Thank you, Jessica.
I'm very fine, thank you, Tanya. And you? Tanya-chan. Bremen? Aus Bremen?
The other one from Landsberg.
Ah, von Landsberg.
Oh, you guys, we there are two Tanyas in our lives that we love a lot. And one
sorry.
is from the north of Germany and one is from close to where we live in the south. So, you know, me saying just Tanya is not enough, I should always say. Tanya Miss Nice Day. Tanya Bremen.
Yeah, Tanya Miss
How
Nice
interesting,
Day.
huh? This difference. So
Yeah.
over here, the watercolor was still wet and I used a water-soluble brush pen. And it created a lot of interesting bleeds and blends, and also the color of the outline is turquoise. So different. Over here, the paper was completely dry. The brush pen is waterproof and has a gray ink. So I love it both. I like it both. Personally, I think you have more control when the watercolor is dry. So if you're starting with this technique, definitely have the patience to wait, I'd say. I mean, I'm never going to say no to experimenting, of course. So if you want to jump right into happy bleeds and happy accidents, go for it. Tanya and I do know what that means, right, my dear? Wir wissen alles über Pleiten, Pech und Pannen, gell, in der letzten Zeit.
Drifera Reantmaya.
All right, so I am going to go back to this painting here. Background is dry. Again, just like I mentioned before, I'm holding my brush pen very gently, very loosely, almost upright, so I can utilize the pen of the tip. As well as whenever I press down very gently, the line immediately becomes thicker. This is the great thing about brush pens. They are so versatile, but they also drive you nuts because of exactly that. You have to practice how to tame and control these brush pens. So if you're just starting out, do not be frustrated because there is a learning curve, and I think it's pretty steep. You got to practice with these things. If you have a lettering background, you might be able to control these brush pens a bit better because you have been gone through all the drills. Thick and thin lines. So again, I'm really just applying the lines without overthinking, just very quickly. Ah, タカちゃん、ありがとう。 I have my personal cheerleader here next to me. This is great. I think we all should have this. Somebody sitting next to you and like, ah, this is so beautiful. I think in this community, we have this a lot. I think that all of you are cheerleading each other. I know for a fact that some of you actually met through my challenge, which I'm very grateful for. So I feel like it's a platform for like-minded people to get to know each other, to meet and share what they love. And, you know, no weird questions about, oh, you do art. Uh-huh. Okay. So what do you do for a living? No, I think in our community here on Instagram and on YouTube, it's lovely because we can just say, yeah, I do art. Oh, great. Did you buy any new stuff? What's your favorite medium? Do you like this brush? Here we go. All right.
Here we go.
Here we go.
Good sounds.
So if you just did this whole thing and you think that it's totally messed up, then first of all, don't despair. As I said, learning curve and it's steep. So just practice. But just keep on doing what we did in the beginning. Just practice your lines, try out different mediums, different lines, textures, different lining pens. There's something I want to say.
Magician.
You are a magician.
Oh my goodness, you guys. I cannot keep a
Japanese
straight face with this
dictionary.
woman next to me. So she has her
Yes. Magician.
she has her
Magician.
dinosaur of a
Magician.
electronic dictionary, which is
Magician.
Japanese and English.
Yes. Magician.
And it talks too. So sometimes when I
So
go,
Magician.
very nice dictionary, isn't it?
this, you guys, this was before the times where, you know, the mobile phones, the smartphones were a big thing. So she's had this
Magician.
for a long time. It still works.
Magician.
It's still great. It just weighs like 2 kilos. Here.
Yes. I love it. This
But as I said, you know,
dictionary.
sometimes I go to the living room and this machine is just shouting at me. Sylvie says this community feels like Ohana. Yeah. Ohana is family
Ohana.
in Hawaiian, and I agree. It does do that. It does feel like that.
So beautiful.
Okay, I was I don't think you guys need to hear this anymore. You already understood what I said an hour ago. Try your different pen making tools, you know, just scribble, do thick and thin lines, and just even before you start anything like this, just try to get you to know your outline pen tool a little better. Also, very important, try different papers. Watercolor paper is going to be different. It has more texture. Maybe you prefer a very smooth paper so your outlines are more crisp. So try different papers, try different pen tools, and try to do the outline first, then the watercolor on top, and watercolor first, and then the pen tool on top. And eventually, I think you'll get to the technique you like the best. Okay, you guys, this is it for today. I really hope you enjoyed this session. I would love, love, love for you to leave me a tiny little comment under this video. Give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet. There will be another live stream. It's gonna take a little while because I'm traveling back to Hawaii at the end of this week. And then I'm gonna be in jet lag coma for like 4 days. So I think the next live stream will be around the 14th. We're gonna draw some veggies and fruits. Before that, I'm gonna have a new video up, hopefully next Sunday. So from this point on, I am planning to publish a new video, not a live stream, a new video on my YouTube every Sunday. So I'm not making 100% like promises at this point, but I will try. So check out my channel every Sunday and keep an eye out for live stream announcements. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to text me over on Instagram at the Aloha Studios or Aloha Watercolors. And this is it for today. Aloha. Thank you. Danke. Arigato. And bye-bye. See you next time.
Bye-bye.
The phone holder is blocking my button.